You trained a model. You got 97% accuracy. You showed it to your team. Everyone's excited. You deploy it. And then it falls apart. Not because your code was wrong, not because your data was bad, but because that 97% was a mirage. A number born from luck, bias, or worse, data leakage. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how experienced data scientists validate their models. No shortcuts, no illusions, just honest, production-grade results. Let's get into it. Let's start with what most tutorials teach you on day one, the train-test split. You take your dataset, carve off 20% for testing, train on the rest, and score it. Simple, clean, and dangerously fragile. Here is why. When you shuffle your data randomly and split it, you're making a bet. You're betting that the 20% you set aside is a fair representation of the whole dataset. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And in smaller datasets, anything under a few thousand rows, the variance between different random shuffles can swing your accuracy by 15 to 20 percentage points. Look at this. Same model, same data, same algorithm. The only difference is the random seed. And yet, the accuracy is bouncing all over the place. Which of these numbers is the real performance? The 78%? The 95%? The truth is, none of them individually. Any single split is just one roll of the dice. Now, let me show you this with real data on a real model. Look at that spread. Same algorithm, same data, 30 different shuffles. The gap between best and worst is enormous. So, how do we fix this? K-fold cross-validation. Instead of splitting once and praying, we split the data into k equal parts, let's say 5. Then we run 5 experiments. In the first round, fold 1 is the test set and fold 2 through 5 are training data. In the second round, fold 2 becomes the test set, and so on, until every single row in your dataset has been used as unseen test data exactly once. Sigma equals 1.1%. Let's see this in actual code. 5 folds, 5 scores, 1 reliable estimate. Notice how tight that standard deviation is compared to the chaos we saw earlier. And here is the professional insight that separates beginners from experienced practitioners. The standard deviation matters most than the mean. A model that scores 88 plus or minus 1% is far more trustworthy than a model that scores 91% plus or minus 8%. The first model is predictable, the second is a gamble. In production, predictability wins every time. Alright, so k-fold solves the shuffle luck problem. But there is a second, subtle trap, and it shows up the moment your classes are unbalanced. Think about fraud detection. In a real transaction dataset, maybe 1% of transactions are fraudulent, and 99% are legitimate. Now, imagine you're doing 5-fold cross-validation and, by pure chance, one of your folds ends up with 0 fraud cases in it. Your model scores 100% on that fold, because it just predicted not fraud for everything and happened to be right. That's not skill, that's a statistical accident. Look at the difference on screen. With plain k-fold on our imbalanced dataset, the minority class is unevenly distributed. Some folds have too many rare cases, some have almost none. But when we switch to stratified k-fold, every single fold mirrors the exact class ratio of the original dataset. Stratified k-fold works like a census taker. Before splitting, it looks at your target column, notes the distribution, say 95% class A and 5% class B, and then guarantees that ratio is preserved in every fold. Let's verify this with actual data. Look at the left, regular K-fold. The minority class ratio per fold is all over the place. On the right, stratified. Every fold is nearly identical. The numbers don't lie. This is why stratification is the industry default for classification tasks. If you're doing classification and you're not stratifying, you're leaving the door open for misleading results. Scikit-learn even makes this easy. Cross-val score uses stratified folds automatically for classifiers. But it's important that you understand why it does this, not just that it does. Now, we arrive at the part that trips up even experienced practitioners, and it's the reason I call this video the Architect's Guide, because this is an architectural problem, not a coding one. Let me set the scene. You have a small dataset, maybe 150 rows, with a lot of features, most of which are noise. A classic real-world situation. You decide to standardize your feature with StandardScaler, then reduce dimensionality with PCA to keep only the 10 most informative components. Sensible choices. You apply both to your full dataset, then run cross-validation. Your scores look great. You deploy, and performance in production is noticeably worse. What happened? Data leakage. Here is the issue. Both StandardScaler and PCA have a dot fit step. They learn from the data. The scaler computes the global mean and variance. PCA computes the direction of maximum variance across the entire dataset. When you do this before cross-validation, those statistics include the validation rows. Your preprocessing has already absorbed information from data the model is supposed to have never seen. And with PCA, the effect is dramatic. PCA literally rotates your feature space. The directions it finds on all 150 rows are different from the directions it would find on just 120 training rows. So the leaked version is projecting data onto axes that were partially shaped by the test set. Now, let me prove this to you with real numbers. Look at this. On the left, the scalars mean for a single feature. The global version is the same orange bar across every fold, while the honest per fold version in blue fluctuates. They are not the same number. On the right, the PCA curves. They diverge. The leaked PCA is learning a different projection than the honest one. This is why the scores are inflated. And here is the impact. The leaked workflow scores noticeably higher, but that extra performance is fake. It comes from information that won't exist in production, because in production, your model won't have access to future data when it preprocesses a new sample. So, how do we fix it? With a scikit-learn pipeline. A pipeline bundles your preprocessing steps and your model into a single object. When we pass that pipeline into cross-val score, scikit-learn scores dot fit on the training portion only, for every step, in every fold. The scaler learns from training rows. PCA finds its axes from training rows. The validation fold is never touched during fitting. This creates a logical firewall. Training data stays on one side. Validation data stays on the other. No information crosses the boundary, and the score you get is the score you will see in production. Here is my rule of thumb. If your preprocessing has a dot fit method, it must go inside a pipeline. Scalars, imputers, encoders, PCA, anything that learns parameters from data must be fitted per fold. No exceptions. At this point, you have a solid professional validation workflow, stratified K-fold with a pipeline. That alone puts you ahead of most practitioners. But there are a few edge cases that can still catch you off guard. Number 1. Grouped data. Ask yourself, are my rows truly independent? If you're working with medical images and you have 5 scans from the same patient, those rows are not independent. If some scans from patient A end up in training and others in validation, your model might just be recognizing that specific patient, not learning the actual pathology. The fix is group k-fold. You pass in a group identifier, like the patient ID, and it guarantees that all rows belonging to the same group stay together in the same fold. Number 2. Time series data. If your data has a time axis, stock prices, sensor readings, daily sales, you must never shuffle it. Shuffling would let the model train on future data to predict the past, which is obviously cheating. Use time series split instead. It creates folds that respect the arrow of time. Training always comes before validation, just like in the real world. Let me show you both of these in code. First, group k-fold. Notice how the group integrity check confirms zero overlap between folds. And time series split. Each fold's training window grows and testing always comes after, exactly how it should be. Number 3. And this one is easy to forget. The final refit. Cross-validation is an evaluation tool. It tells you how good your model is. It does not produce a deployment-ready model. Why? Because each fold only trains on a subset of your data. Once you've used cross-validation to select your best model and hyperparameters, you must retrain that final model on the entire dataset before shipping it. That way, it learns from every available example. Final refit equals opening night. And here it is in code. The cross-validation estimate gives us our confidence, and then we refit on the full dataset. That's the model you ship. At this point, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, I don't blame you. We've covered k-fold, standard deviations, stratification, pipelines, group data, time series splitting, and the final refit. That's a lot of rules to take in, and a lot of places where a single mistake can silently correct your results. So, what if one tool handled all of this for you? That tool is SCORE, an open source library built on top of scikit-learn. The core object that I would like to present today is the cross-validation report. You pass it your pipeline, your data, and your target. And it handles everything we've spent this video learning. First, it auto-stratifies. If your estimator is a classifier, it uses stratified k-fold by default, no need to remember. Second, it's pipeline safe. Every pre-processing step is fitted per fold inside the cross-validation loop. Data leakage is structurally impossible. Third, it gives you rich reports out of the box, metrics, rock, curves, performance plots, all broken down per fold. Let me show you this in code. We build our pipeline, same StandardScaler and logistic regression as before, then we create the cross-validation report with a single call. And look at what we get, a full metrics table broken down per fold with no manual loops, no risk of leaking, no forgetting to stratify. The report object also exposes every visualization you might need, rock curves, precision recall, you name it. And if you want to go deeper, there is the SCORE hub. This is where it gets really powerful. You run a few commands in your terminal, for instance, and it opens the Skore Hub, an interactive browser-based platform. Inside the hub, you can visualize the fold-by-fold distribution of your data. For each fold, you see exactly how the data was split between training and testing, visually, interactively. And here is the key. You can inspect the class distribution in each train and test split. You can visually confirm that stratification is working, that the class ratio is consistent across every fold. No guessing, no hoping. You can see it. This is what I mean by making validation transparent and auditable. Let me put this in perspective. On the left, the manual workflow, 7 steps, 7 places to make a mistake. On the right, with Skore, 1 call, auto stratification, pipeline, safety, built-in metrics, and the hub to verify everything visually. Same rigor, fewer chances to make a mistake. That's what good tooling gives you. So, let's bring it in all together. 1. Never trust a single train test split. Use k-fold and pay attention to the standard deviation, not just the mean. 2. Always stratify for classification. Protect your minority classes. 3. Wrap your preprocessing in a pipeline. Eliminate data leakage at the architectural level. 4. Check for group data, respect time order, and always refit on the full dataset before deploying. And if you want a tool that enforces all 4 of these pillars for you, check out Skore. Your job as a data scientist isn't to find the highest accuracy score, it is to find the most reliable one. Because in production, reliability is everything. Thanks for watching. If this changed how you think about validation, please consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one.